do you call that again?
I already told you, love. I was in God's pocket and he said, if I have to find you, I'm just going to have to give you a little mark because there's loads of Sandras in Dublin. We can't go on being this far from the school.
Just keep telling yourself it's temporary.
Yeah, Dad!
What are we doing, Sandra? I think this is good for the girls.
I'm dead. I wanted to fix it, you know.
You know, however much you may want to, there are some people who you just can't.
Good morning, Clare. It's lovely to chat to you today. How are you?
I'm good, yeah. How are you?
I'm good. It seems like we're still doing Zoom conversations. Hopefully we'll be at the end of those relatively soon. But it's lovely to meet you. I've actually been dying to chat to you since I saw herself probably about 15 years ago now. At this stage, it feels like in my memory. But congratulations is what I wanted to say, because I absolutely loved it at the time, and I can actually call it the IFTA award winning herself now. So we wouldn't have been able to have that conversation this time last year. So congrats on all the awards and everything as well.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
So where are you today then? Where do we find you?
I'm living in Sea Point at the minute, so I'm really like loving it because I'm beside the sea. So that's it. Yeah, I'm just working on a couple of projects and doing the massive load of press for this and Kin at the minute. So yeah, pretty busy.
I can imagine. You're probably getting a sense of deja vu because this isn't the first time you've embarked on loads of press, as you were saying, for herself. So like what's it like coming back to something that you feel like have we not done this already?
It's actually good. Like, I mean, it's fine. Like, it was such a roller coaster anyway, the whole year for everybody. And I just feel so lucky that like we're gonna go ahead now and release the film finally. But actually, in terms of it being released now as opposed to last year, I think weirdly there's some themes in the film that might really resonate with people after what we've just been through for the last 18 months. Obviously, there's like, this is a story about a woman who's building a house for herself and a community forms around her. So there is a lot of that kind of feeling of like, what's a good community? What does that feel like? And how much do we actually reach out to each other in the world? And Philida has a great question that came to mind from watching the film. She was like, it made me think about what does it mean to be a good neighbor? And I was like, oh my God, yeah, because I think we all feel so connected on things like these, and we can connect to anything. But just like the physical world that surrounds you right now, like, do you know your neighbours? Do you know they're doing okay? Do you know if they're old, young, infirm, whatever it is? But like, it just made you I think there's a heightened awareness about what's around you now in your near vicinity, because back when we only had 2 kilometres or whatever it was, it just really hit home. Like, who is my community? Who's around me? So I hope that people kind of get a bit of resonance with that. And also just the aspect of the film being about Sandra transforming her life, and she's going from this old life to a new life. She's literally almost going from this older world and trying to build a new world, build this little mini universe in the house for her new life with her kids, as more of a single parent or a sharing parent, co-parent thing. And I think like that kind of journey about like the way things were and then how do we do it now, and like asking ourselves questions about like, well, what is the new normal now? Because we actually had a lot of time to reflect and lots of things have happened. And I think there's just aspects to the film that I think people might really connect to now, considering all that we've been through. Also, let's not forget the huge awareness about domestic violence and the rising numbers of people calling helplines over the pandemic, which like some people view as a negative thing, but actually I attended like an online women's aid thing there a few months ago that was just like talking about the statistics and everything, and they were actually saying in a weird way, because the pandemic forced people to stay at home much more, etc., and kind of limited you, it meant probably a lot of people that were in a situation that they possibly were telling themselves was okay, it came to light for them that it wasn't. So even though the numbers rose in ringing those helplines, seems like, God, there's a lot of people going through this. Now we're aware of those people going through it. So we didn't have the awareness. And so she was kind of like, it was funny because she was like, I know the papers are kind of pushing out the headlines. Like, there was a huge rise in the numbers, but there was also a huge rise in people reaching out and doing what Sandra does, reaching out and asking for help to get out of the situation. So I think there's two ways to look at it.
Yeah, and I suppose that's the power of a film. Whenever you're creating it and you're making it, and maybe you're not, I mean, obviously you couldn't plan for an actual pandemic. You didn't know that that's going to shed a whole new light on what you've made. But the power of the film that, you know, as time passes by and as world events happen and local events happen, that people find and take more out of it as well. So I personally, as I said, I loved it when I saw it first time around, and it has stuck with me as well, mainly because I've been trying to build a lot of Lego during lockdown. So fair play to you for building an actual house, which is, you know, slightly more difficult. But yeah, I can't wait to see it again. So it is being re-released, obviously, in Irish cinemas and cinemas in the UK as well. And is this something you've always wanted for it? And you're like, I just want to see it up there with people. Now, obviously, like slightly fewer crowds, but people seeing it on the big screen the way you had originally planned for it.
Yeah, no, I really do. Like, I didn't write a film to be just shown on TV. I think, like, let's not forget the magic of cinema, but also the thing of when you're with other people watching something and you're all in this like dark space, just being immersed in this thing that uses all the art forms that we know of. And it's like, there's something really special to that. Like, and I think we can all agree that we slightly miss the odd gathering. Maybe we don't want to go to as many that are hugely populated. But I think with this, it's like we could find a balance. Like, look, there's going to be a limited capacity in the cinema anyway. You're going to be safe and everything. So I feel like I just love people to enjoy being immersed in it, because there's a huge like score to it and music, and there was so much in this that is about like something redemptive, and it's kind of life affirming, and it's not like Disney. This is like about like, how do you actually change things for yourself? How do you actually get the hands into the muck and get the wood and build the bloody house and all this kind of thing? And when I first was just imagining this, like, you know, and trying to write it myself years ago, I am one of the millennials that can't buy a house. We are on this generation where like, is there another answer? And I honest to God feel like part of me writing this movie was just a cry inside of me, just going like, I just want to write something that says something different about this housing crisis as well. You know, I just want to write something that's a little bit hopeful, but also realistic, like that this can be done. So it's a fiction, but it's based on huge amounts of research and factual, like it's something that can actually happen. So I just hope people just go to the cinema and let it like take over them.
Yeah, like cinemas for me feel like one of the safer spaces anyway, you know, in terms of how well they're kind of managed. And because obviously different people are going to have different perceptions of what they want to do and what they don't want to do. But in terms of how they're run from that kind of point of view, I really hope that people do get out and see this film. It must have been amazing, like winning the IFTAs and, you know, obviously different version of the ceremony, but like still getting that buzz of like, holy shit, our name's just been read out and we're the winner. That's amazing.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have a big family and they weren't going to let me away with just sitting at home on the computer. So we ended up going all out and getting a marquee so we could have an outdoor party, like a safe party and all. But like, it was just hilarious when when they called out my name. It was hard for them to hold everything in, because I had to do I had to be ready to do 3 different categories. And this was the 3rd category. So like, if I didn't get this one, it was like, well, we're just going to have a great night anyway. But it was kind of like the tension had built over the previous characters or the previous categories. And then, and it was just amazing actually, because, you know, in a way it was, it's the only thank you speech I ever got to do in front of people that I actually know. I did one on Zoom for an American festival. At one point they gave me an award and it was really lovely and everything, but I did it on my own in the flat that I just moved into at the time for Film and Kin, and it was like boxes everywhere, just me on my own, just giving this thank you speech. And I was like, the thing about the IFTA thing was like, I just got to do a big load of thank yous and just go, yay. And it was just lovely. And if I'd been attending the real lift, as you know, my sisters and my family wouldn't have been there. So there was something like, okay, it's not great, but we made something out of it. So it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing moment.
Oh, completely well deserved, and congratulations for that. Now, you did mention kin there, and obviously working for JOE.ie, we put up a lot of trailers. We put up the snippet, the sneak peek of that particular show, and the audience went nuts for it. Completely bonkers reaction, because you would put up so many trailers all the time and they get all sorts of reactions, but people just seem to love these kind of Irish crime dramas. But I was wondering, obviously you don't want to give too much away, but what can you tell us about who you play? Because people have seen snippets of Ciarán Hinds and Aidan Gillen, and I presume Aidan Gillen is going to be his lovely, warm, usual cuddly self.
Oh, lovely and cuddly. I was on the receiving end of many of his cuddles, verbally. No, it's an amazing series because it's this crime drama that's really rooted in it being about family and like loyalty and also the inner journey of people in this world. And like, how do we ever get to these places where we can commit these acts of violence? But then also, what are the repercussions? How do you actually deal with it and the consequences? So it's kind of, I remember when I first read the script, I was like, okay, I've never, like, because I get sent scripts all the time and I do self-tapes all the time. I've never read a script where I was like, oh my God, it's like Shakespeare, it's like The Sopranos, it's like, I don't know, it's incredible. And then to actually get the role of the leading lady in it was like, dreams come true. But also she's a person that just goes on a massive journey in the series. So in terms of like, just for your listeners, Kin is kind of centered on a family called the Kinsellas, and Amanda is married into the family. So she's married in with one of the main family members, one of the brothers. And it's kind of like she's not quite involved in it, and then ends up kind of involved a little bit, but you can't give anything away because things kind of happen quite fast in the first few episodes. It really like it kicks up really fast, and but it's an amazing series in terms of how many buttons it'll hit for people. I would really encourage girls to watch it as well, because this is not your usual, you know, there's the girl who's like just the girlfriend and just like does what she's told, or there's the gang mammy character that, you know, just sitting there smoking in the kitchen, not really having any effect. This is like everybody has their own journey, every character, even people on the periphery of the family, like it's a big ensemble and everyone goes on their own big journey. So I really encourage people to watch it and get involved.
Excellent. Last but not least, I didn't realize you were starring in a Marvel film until I was sitting at home watching the Spider-Man movie and I was doing like that Leonardo DiCaprio movie. I was like pointing at the screen when I saw you. So now that you maybe actually can talk about it, you signed all those NDAs, but what is it like, within that Marvel world and getting that call to say that you're actually going to be a member of the MCU?
It was amazing. Like it was such a rush, because actually that job literally fell out of the sky on me. Like I was in this really funny moment where we were supposed to have to shoot herself and we couldn't align all the stars and get Harriet available. And anyway, so we thought we were shooting like about 5 or 6 months before we actually shot it, right? And of course, I thought it was going ahead. So I turned down a couple of theatre jobs and then I ended up absolutely broke. And I was like, I can't believe this. I have to move back home. I was absolutely like gutted. I was like, I think I'm gonna have to move back home. I think I'm gonna have to move out of my flat. I don't know where's the money come from. And I was literally having one of those weeks where you're like, why am I an actor? And my agent rings me and goes, Claire, you're in Dublin right now, yeah? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, this is a bit mad, but you've been offered a role in a Marvel movie with Jake Gyllenhaal, and they need you in London by Sunday night. And I was like, I actually dropped the phone. And then it was just like, what? So Marvel are incredible. So if they like actors, but they just haven't given them a job yet, they keep their tapes and they keep them in mind for future things. So during the Spider-Man movie, I think they just like created, they were on the go with the writing, and they were like writing during filming. So they created this team around Jake Gyllenhaal, but they were like, okay, we just need like really good actors, but like we need them next week. Like, so me and these 3 other actors from the UK all got hired, flown in or driven in or whatever it was. And it was so last minute, but the writers and directors are amazing. Like, you walk on set and they're all over. They're like, how are you, Claire? What's the crack? Come here. I'll tell you what it's all about. Come on, look at the monitor. Here's Jake and Tom. You know, and they're so earthy. They're so funny. They're all about having the crack and just like getting the best out of the scenes. And it was just such a lovely experience. I can't explain it. The food was amazing. The accommodation. They obviously have money to burn, but it was like, it was just, sorry, that's my fella just walked by.
Hello.
But basically, it was just incredible. And Tom is an absolute gent. Jake is lovely. And that whole experience was so mad, because it was at a moment where I was like, geez, what am I going to do? And it just, and it did. It was one of those stories that I've heard other actors tell. And I was like, oh my God, it happened to me. And then I had to just not say anything to anyone. I wasn't allowed to tell anyone. And I just had the best time. I had like about 8 days on set, even though blinking you'd miss me in the film, you know. We made loads of material because they just need all the material to work from. And then they decide in the end in the edits, obviously. But I had a great time. It was absolutely fabulous.
Amazing. Well, congratulations on that, and congratulations again on herself, and the best of luck with the release of the brand new film. I'm actually going to adapt your Twitter mantra, sure look it, fuck it, because it seems to have served you well so far, so I'll borrow that. Thank you very much. Claire, it's been an absolute pleasure, and chat to you again soon.
Thanks, Owen. Thanks for chatting to me.
It's land, Sandra, going to waste. Use it.
A house at the bottom of the garden.
It's possible.
What?
You're gonna need somebody who knows what they're doing.
He means a man.
No, I mean a person. We'll let herself do the honors.
You are not taking my kids!
All right.
A man of few heads to give us a hand.
What is the point of a house if I have no kids to put in?